Hello and welcome to HD Piano. My name is Devin, and in this lesson, I'll be showing you guys how to play Crazy Little Thing Called Love by Queen. Let's check it out. 2, 3, 4. All right, so there you have it. That's the first chorus, as well as the intro. And that's going to be our focus here in this first video. But we'll be learning the whole song over at HDpiano.com. Now you'll notice I'm playing the melody in the right hand. This is kind of a melody reduction for the piano of this song. But I will also include a video called Accompaniment Tips in case you want to learn how to play this in more of a band setting where you're not playing the melody, but you're just playing as a supportive, accompaniment instrument. But honestly, it's very driven by the bass line, so not a whole lot will change. But here are our first few notes for the intro. The intro is pretty cool. It's emulating a strummed guitar part. So we're just trying to emulate that guitar. And we've got A, D, and F sharp. And we're going to see that F sharp occasionally pop up to a G. It's a one measure pattern that much slower looks like this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So I was just counting out the beats in the measure. So we start on D and F sharp, jump down to our thumb on A, jump up to D and G, and come back down to G and F sharp. We hold that for a little extra, and then we play a final A, D, A. And that's the pattern. See if you can do it with me. Now, the important thing to note is it's a swing feel. It's a shuffle, a rock shuffle. So instead of straight, which would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, right? Very stately and even. This has some swag, right? So boom, 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 ba dum, da 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 da. That's called a swing feel. So it'll be important to kind of dial that in as you go. But let's go ahead and see if we can increase the tempo just a bit. We'll start slow. Slowly pick up speed. Staying relaxed. And there we are, more or less at performance tempo. Now, one other note, pedaling. I think my pedaling was maybe a little messy at times, but what does work is to only pedal when you hit the D and F sharp in the halfway point of the measure. So we're going to hit it at the beginning, and then reset here, hold, reset, reset, reset. So we're only resetting on that note in the middle of the measure, and that just kind of clears out that G, because otherwise it would be a little, muddy if we let it all ring out. It starts to sound like, ambient music or something. Anyways, so that's the trick with pedaling. But for the rest of the song, you shouldn't really need to pedal at all. It works fine without the pedal, but we'll talk about pedaling a little later on. So that's the intro, 4 measures of that. And on the 4th time, we're going to stop right on here. So that's 1 and 2 and 3 and this thing. And we're going to move our pinky up to A, and we're just going to play a D major triad, D, F sharp, and A. But for now, we're going to leave our right hand to rest a bit and bring in the left hand and check out this bass line. This song is cool because it's not a blues, but it is 12 measures, so it kind of has the feeling of like a blues form. And we see kind of like a bluesy walking bass line, and that's D, F sharp, A, and B. Those are our pretty much only 4 notes in the bass line for D major. And then we do the same shape for G major, the 4 chord. And then we go C, C, B, G. And that is the 4 measure phrase, and that's going to repeat straight away into the next phrase. Right? right, so we do the D pattern twice, then to the G pattern, C, C, B, G again. C, C, B, G, and we do it one more time, but then we do B flat octaves, C octaves, and then our D pattern, and then we come up and hit the D up the octave. All right, so what I want to try here, well, actually, let's just do one more pass of the left hand, just in case I'm moving a little too fast. Maybe slow it down a hair and see if you can play along. 2, 3. This thing called love. I just try singing along. All right, we're going to do those exact same 4 measures. And D pattern to octave B flats, octave C's, and D. So that's the bass line in the left hand, and that's going to repeat for all of the verses and choruses to come, and then it just changes a bit in the bridge. All right. Let's see, one other thing to note, when you're transitioning, you can either play your pinky on G and jump down to D, or you could do something like C, C, B, and then cross under with your thumb so that it's easy to hit D right there. So I'd say sit with those transitions, those moments where your left hand kind of has to jump to a new note, and see if you can find a fingering that works for you. I think I'm more fond of just the quick jump rather than the crossover. The crossover makes it feel almost a little too classical, and I feel like that doesn't really just jibe with the intention of the piece, which is kind of like you play your power chord, and then you move to your other power chord. Anyways, that's the bass line. Now the melody is pretty simple. All right, just outlining these chords. So we start with D major, and our melody is always going to be on top. It's A, and then B, A, and then B, D, right? So that's the melody, but the chords beneath it are D major, right? D, F sharp, and A, and then B, A with D major, and then we go B, D with G major. The same exact shape, a root position triad, G, B, and D, just starting from G instead of D. And then we hit D, F, E, D, and back. And for that F, E, D, we're hitting G, D, and F together, taking the top 2 notes down to G, C, and E, and then back to our G major triad, and then back to our melody. We do it again, slightly different rhythm that we'll talk about. And then we go, I ain't ready. And that's just B, D to a D major triad, only this time in second inversion. Right? Same 3 notes as our chord here, but it's not the D on top, it's the F sharp on top. Ready. And then we come way down to a B flat major, root position triad, B flat, D, F, up to a C natural root position triad, C major, C, E, G, and then A and D. And we double the top note there. Crazy little thing called love. So that's the melody. Let's do it in time, nice and slow. 1, 2, 3. One other note actually before I do that. Fingering. Again, this is a place where my fingerings are probably going to vary a little bit, and I want you to settle on something you like. You can either always play the triad in this standard form, 1, 3, 5, right? Thumb, middle, pinky. Or you could play the pinky on the B, and then get used to playing the triad with 1, 2, and 4. That's kind of another common way. Or maybe you have huge hands, and you want to play 1, 2, and 3 for the triad. And then do something like that, the G triad. It really kind of depends on your hand shape, but none of these chords require much stretching. So that's why I don't want to necessarily define any one particular way. But just remember that what I'm doing might not work for you, and you can just kind of sit with each chord and find a fingering that works. So here we go on the melody. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. And a crazy little thing called love. And that's it. So rhythmically, I'd say just, double back and play along with me. And most of the melody is very consistently happening on beat 4. 4 and 2, 3. 4 and 1, 2, 3. 4 and 1, 2, 3. 4, 1, 2, and 3. 4 and 2, 3. 4 and, right? Clear pattern here. We do it again, but check this out. 4 and 2 and 4, 1. So that's the one that has a bit trickier rhythm than the first time around. 4 and 2 and ready. Bring it down and 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 and shoo. All right, if we put the hands together, it should sound something like this. All right, we're almost done here. The only other thing I want to talk about is pedaling. Now, you could do it without pedal. Here's how that would sound. And I would recommend practicing without the pedal. But you'll notice in some places, it sounds a little dry. So you can pedal on beat 4. That almost always works as a good point to pedal. So check it out. Here's beat 4. And then release. Pedal off, pedal off, again there, and then here I would pedal pretty much each beat. Off, pedal off, pedal off, and again, whoops, and then we go off, and then pedal, pedal, off. Okay, well, that pretty much does it. I will see you guys over at part 2 for the rest of the song. All right, great job making it this far. If you're already at HDpiano.com, go ahead and click on part 2 to continue learning. And if you're not, head on over and you can get started learning the rest of this song. In the meantime, please send us your song ideas at requests.hdpiano.com. Follow us on social media so you can stay in the know about our upcoming lessons. And if you're on YouTube, drop us a comment below, like, subscribe. We love hearing from you guys. My name's Devin with HDpiano.com. We'll see you soon.